Wow, we have a lot to talk about this week. Google released some major updates to Gemini that are going to completely change the way that you use it. Anthropic announced a brand new model that is, quite frankly, terrifying. There are small but significant quality of life improvement updates to NotebookLM, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's dive in and talk about the AI news that matters. My name is Paul J. Lipsky. Every single week, I bring you the AI news that you actually care about. This isn't for coders or developers. This is for regular people who want to stay on top of the AI updates that are actually going to make a difference in your life. Let's start with some good news before we get to the scary stuff. Google released a major update to Gemini this past week. You'll now start to see this if you are on one of the paid Gemini plans. It is rolling out, but you'll notice over here on the left, there's now a section called Notebooks. And opening this up, you'll notice that these are all your NotebookLM notebooks brought into Gemini. And this is more than just being able to access the information from the notebooks in Gemini. This is actually an entire organization folder system. So for instance, I have a notebook here called Bouldering, and you can see all these chats down here. So anytime you start a chat inside of a notebook, they'll all appear inside that notebook right here, and you won't find them inside the all chat section on the left. But what's also really interesting is that these chats also appear in the notebook itself in NotebookLM as a source. You can see all four of those right here. So this is bi-directional. It sends information from NotebookLM to Gemini, and then the chats back from Gemini to NotebookLM. It's an incredible improvement for Gemini because we have been asking for a long time for some sort of projects or folder system, and now we finally have that. I'm not going to spend too much time in this video talking about this update because I made an entire video dedicated to it. If you want to check that out, you can find it right here. I'll also remind you about it at the end. But that wasn't the only update to Gemini from this past week. Google also released an update that enables you to transform your questions into visualizations, interactive visualizations. So here I asked it to teach me how planes fly, and we got the text response, and then we got this interactive visualization that explains drag, thrust, and weight. Here's another one where I asked it what pi is and to explain that to me. You see, once again, a text response and then the visualization down here. So the way that this works is you have to turn on Pro. As far as I know, this only works with Pro enabled. And then you have to ask a question that would warrant a visualization. So here I asked it to explain Boyle's law to me, and coming down here, you'll now see this button that says show me the visualization. Clicking on this will take like a minute to actually load it out, or actually that took probably 15 seconds. But here you go. Now you can see Boyle's law explained. And this won't work for everything. So here, for instance, I asked it to recommend what food to bring on a hiking trip. And obviously there's no visualization for this one. It's not really necessary. So it determines when that button appears. You can't tell it to appear. So overall, I think this is a good first step, but it is a little bit rough around the edges. This visualization works quite well for me, but some of the other ones, like how planes fly, this isn't super helpful to me. I'm not actually even sure what it's trying to show me. So if you get access to this, try it out and definitely give your feedback here, because the team behind Gemini, I know, actually listens to feedback and they're trying to make it better. In fact, in general, they have said that they are trying to bring even more creative model replies to Gemini beyond just these visualizations. So we should see some big improvements over the next couple of months. Music in Gemini also got a small bump in improvements. Previously, if you were on the free Gemini plan, you were only able to generate 30-second tracks. Now on the free plan, you can generate longer tracks. So to do that, you have to start a new chat, click where it says create music, and you want to make sure that you choose either thinking or pro if you want that longer track. On the free plan, you only get a few of the longer ones every day. I think it might be 3. After that, you can still generate 30-second tracks by using fast. If you haven't tried out music generation inside of Gemini yet, I really suggest you do. It's a lot of fun. It's not like incredible, amazing music, but I don't think that's the point of it. I think the point is just to make some fun tracks that you can then send to your friends and family. And finally, the last Gemini update is if you have a Google speaker at home, Gemini for Home for the Google speakers is coming to more countries, 16 new countries, and support for 7 new languages. So this will enable you to use Gemini with your home speakers. We also got 2 small improvements to NotebookLM besides the major merger with Gemini, but these small improvements, I think they're pretty cool. So first of all, when you use quizzes and flashcards, after you're finished going through them, what you'll see is this new report that goes over not only how well you did, but all the topics covered and suggestions on what you should study next based on the results that you got. And so here, for instance, I did really poorly on this quiz. And so it suggests that I spend extra time on this topic. So I can select this topic, click on Generate Quiz, and it'll generate a quiz specific to that topic that I struggled with. The second update is to audio overviews. Now with audio overviews, you can change the speed up to 2x speed and down to 0.5x, and you can skip forward or backwards by 10 seconds. So NotebookLM is listening. If you have feedback for them, hit them up on X. They're always listening to feedback, and they actually have a whole wish list from users, and they are working their way through it. So I love to see that. Let's see what improvements come to NotebookLM over the next couple of months. And the last bit of news from Google AI is that they released a new free app that's pretty interesting. So this is the app right here. It's called Google AI Edge Eloquent, which is quite a name. So this is a voice dictation tool. So I can press this button, start talking. Hey, that sounds great. Why don't we circle back in a week? 2 weeks, and we can talk about that proposal again. Pressing stop, you can see that it was transcribing that entire time, and it actually cleans up the text as well. So it got rid of the part where I said 1 week and just left 2 weeks. And what's really remarkable about this is that you can run this completely offline. If I toggle this off, I can use it again. It's not going to be as powerful, but it does work. What are you thinking for dinner tonight? I want Chinese. I want Thai food, but I know we got that last week. So if you want Chinese this week, that's fine. So you see, it cleaned it up a little bit. It's not as good as the online model, but it still works completely offline. There are, of course, other tools that do this exact same thing, but they don't work offline. And the problem with this one, though, is that it's not really a seamless experience. There's no keyboard support. So if I have my messaging app open and I want to use this, I have to close my messaging app, come into this app, press stop, press start, press stop, copy it down, paste it over there. So it's not very seamless. There's no action button support. There's no shortcut support. So I don't think it's going to replace tools like Whisperflow, but it is pretty neat. And the fact that it works completely offline and privately is also pretty interesting. Before we hear about all the updates to Claude from Anthropic, let's hear from today's sponsor, i10x. i10x is one AI chat that gives you access to all the best models. Models from OpenAI, Google, xAI, Anthropic, DeepSeek, and zAI. So you no longer have to switch between different tabs or providers to get access to all the best models. And if you're not sure which one to use, just leave it on auto, and i10x will pick the best model based on the prompt that you use. You can also connect it up with all your favorite third-party tools like Zoom, Stripe, Notion, LinkedIn, Google Tasks. We have Google Drive, Google Calendar, Gmail, and there is memory, web search, and knowledge base built in. Knowledge base allows you to upload either personal documents and information or company information that you can then reference inside any chat. If you need to create images or videos, i10x has that covered as well. You can see that you get access to top image generation models like GPT Image and Nano Banana, and top video models like Kling and Google Veo. For more advanced users, you can set up these agents and choose the LLM that will power them and give them a custom set of instructions. And there are even these AI workflows called automations that connect one third-party tool with another using AI. i10x starts at just $8 a month if you go with annual billing. That includes 5,000 uses of basic models, 200 uses of advanced models, and 2,500 credits for things like image and video. But for just $17.50 a month, you get unlimited use of basic models and unlimited use of advanced models and 7,500 credits. If you want to check it out, there's a link for i10x in the description of this video, along with a coupon code to get an additional 10% off. And thank you i10x for sponsoring this video. Now for the bad news, let's look at what's been happening with Anthropic and Claude. So first of all, last week, right after I released my last news report for the week, they came out with an announcement, Anthropic did, that Claude subscriptions can no longer be used to power OpenClaw. If you're not familiar with OpenClaw, it's this open source project. It's this really powerful, always on AI agent. I don't talk about it a lot on this channel because I think for the average user, you shouldn't be using this. There are a lot of security concerns with it, and the setup and maintenance process can be quite daunting. But anyway, one way that it runs is that you can connect it up with your Claude subscription, or you used to be able to do this. So like the $20 a month or $100 a month subscription could be used with OpenClaw. But Anthropic has said you guys can't do that anymore. You have to use the official Claude API, which is a lot more expensive. So this is only going to affect you if you're a user of OpenClaw, because you were probably using your Claude subscription in the past. And as I'm sure you know now, you can no longer do that. But for anyone else who's not using OpenClaw, you don't have to worry about this. But what we do have to worry about is this new model from Anthropic called Mythos. Now, I talked about this last week. This name was exposed when Claude had a leak of some of their source code. So we knew that Mythos was something that was coming out, but we didn't know too much about it. And now we know more. And in last week's video, I said that, hey guys, like for the average user, we're not going to be able to use Mythos anyway. It's going to be so powerful. It's going to be too expensive for us to use. And that was correct. Like but it's way beyond what I thought. This is incredible how powerful this thing is. This is the most powerful AI model in the world. And that's exciting, but it's also terrifying as well. Anthropic has said that they have used this to find bugs in software that have existed for 27 years and that were major security vulnerabilities. So instead of releasing this publicly, which would have a devastating impact, they created something called Project Glasswing, and they are giving access to Mythos to just some government agencies and certain companies, like I've heard Apple and I think maybe Google, so that they can patch the vulnerabilities before this is released more publicly. So that's a good thing. I think there's a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt that are being spread about Anthropic and Mythos based on this announcement. But I do think they are doing the right thing, and hopefully all these companies are able to patch up these security vulnerabilities before something like this goes public. Just keep in mind, on all your devices, make sure you are keeping them updated. Your phones, your computers, your browser, update everything this year as often as those updates come out, because I think this year more than ever, those updates are going to be very important for protecting your devices. All right, so that's all the Claude news from this past week, but there are some updates from other providers that you may want to know about. First of all, there's a new update to Perplexity Computer. If you're not familiar with Perplexity Computer, I made a whole video about it about a couple of weeks ago. You can find that right here, linked in the card. It's honestly the most advanced and most capable AI agent that I have ever used. It's a little bit expensive, so it's not for everyone, but it's definitely the most incredible and capable one that I've used. But anyway, they just released a new update that connects computer to your bank accounts and credit cards and loans using Plaid. So this will give you the ability to see in detail all your spending, to build custom budget tools, and to visualize your net worth alongside your investment portfolio. So some pretty cool stuff in there. Of course, tools like this for tracking your investing have existed before, but probably nothing as capable and powerful as this, because this obviously uses AI and some of the best models for that. Next, OpenAI ChatGPT just introduced a new plan, $100 a month pro tier. So previously, the only two plans really were like $20 a month. There's also like a cheaper one, but basically $20 a month and a $200 a month plan. Now we have something in the middle. So this is great because I think that gap was quite wide, and the fact that there's now a middle ground makes a lot of sense. And then finally, there's been a big update to Genspark. Now, Genspark isn't something that I've talked about on this channel yet, but it has been on my radar. A lot of people who have tried OpenClaw and struggled with it in the past have jumped over to Genspark and have said that it's much easier to use and gets everything done for them that they were hoping to be able to do with OpenClaw. And this new update enables full desktop control, so it can control your computer, like open up apps. It works in Microsoft Office, like slides and sheets and docs. There's really good remote access to it through your phone. You can just use WhatsApp to control it. And they've added something called Heartbeat as well, which basically means that periodically it will turn on to check for things. Like maybe it'll check your email like every few minutes if that's what you ask it to do. So it seems very capable. I'm definitely interested in checking it out. If you guys want me to do a full review of it for this channel, let me know that in the comments section down below. Yeah, so the news from the past week was quite exciting and a little bit scary as well. But if you enjoyed this update, make sure to subscribe because I make an update like this every single week for you guys. Next week will be a regular update, but in 2 weeks, I will be at Las Vegas for Google Cloud Next, Google's annual developer conference. A lot of times they release new models and talk about new AI capabilities during that. So I'll be able to bring all that information to you in this weekly news report. So definitely subscribe. Then if you want to watch that video that I mentioned at the start of the video, you can find it right here. That's all about that new integration between Gemini and NotebookLM. I show you every single thing that it can do. So check out that video right here and I'll see you over there in just 1 second. Bye for now.